We've got an important conversation, a corporate conversation. Now, Thermax is celebrating its 60th anniversary this year. Now, this is a company which started off as a boiler maker way back in 1966. And it's undergoing a significant strategic shift to become a leading new energy solutions provider. My colleague Vinny Motiwala traveled to meet up the MD and CEO Ashish Bhandari, and she began the conversation by asking him about the next phase of growth and more. Listen in to a slice of that conversation.
Where we stand today, I look at the next phase of our evolution as perhaps one of our most exciting times forward. Okay. And that is because, A, the world is changing. Yeah, energy transition is a big, big topic. We are all looking at what we are doing to the climate. And any company that has the capability to make a difference, and Thermax does, this is an exciting time. Second, equally important, India too is at a very specific juncture of its own. Yeah, to get to Viksit Bharat, Indian companies have to think in a very different way, much bolder than what we have done ever before. And with that view and that look is how Thermax is looking at the future. There's a lot that we have achieved, but our journey in many ways is just beginning.
What about the overall capex cycle? When I spoke to a few people, they highlighted that maybe private capex is there, that we're seeing a comeback. I want to know about both, the capex cycle overall. Are we seeing an increase in private capex, public capex? What's the story right now?
Thermax has never been directly driven as much by government capex. We are more of a private capex driven company. I would say post-elections, there was a bit of a slowdown. And especially for Thermax, there was the whole ethanol industry, which after India hit E20 came through a bit of a slowdown. So that affected. But I would say the last few months have been good. And as I look at the next coming period, in India, we have got many new industries, electronics manufacturing, semiconductors, solar modules and cells progressing, and then of course data centers. So you see a new wave of companies coming in, which were not part of our ecosystem even until 2 years ago. So there's a shift of where capex is coming from in India. And given the overall demand strength as we are seeing, I expect the coming period to be of a much stronger, larger revival in private capex all across India.
Okay, so you are expecting a revival there. You touched upon all these data centers or the systems that were not there in place for India so far. Is that something that you all are working on? Right now we're standing at a plant which is the cooling system plant. So when I came in, I was like, oh, will this also help in data center? Is that something that you all are
Very much so. In the last quarter itself, we had 2 of our biggest wins in data centers. I'm very proud and happy to share that we had a big breakthrough in the US to export for one of the largest data centers, which will ultimately be providing storage and cloud storage for one of the largest companies in the world. We'll be providing 23 absorption chillers, which will be coming out of this plant, and which is just the first phase and the first entry for us. But given it is going for a marquee client in the US, we expect this to be first of very many. Then in India, we have with our latest products, which are called the hybrid closed loop cooling towers, hybrid CLCTs. We just closed a major order for a major data center in India as well. So 2 very different products, both cooling related, one in the US, one in India. So for Thermax as well, the entry into data centers is now very real and now.
Ashish, in the recent times, or 2025, we could say, there was those FGD issues, and just for our viewers, FGD is fuel gas desulfuration. Now, obviously, there were some norms that came in, then there was a change in that. What is the current status, just to get an update?
So for the last 3 years, we have been saying that we don't expect any future FGD orders, and that's our current stance. We are executing the old set of orders. Our order book also went through what seemed like a dip, because all of these kinds of orders, we said we don't expect in the future. And as I look at the future as well, I don't expect too many central government's actions towards pushing FGDs.
So, and when will all these orders be completed for the
So
company?
the orders between this year and next year, all of our FGD backlog would be done and
So by
over with.
FY27, you all will be done with
We'll
that,
be
and
done
not
with
much of an
FY20.
expectation of anything more.
Anything
coming
beyond that.
You all have also interestingly, focused on lowering those low margin businesses, right? So are all those executed, or that will also be done by FY27?
So between this year and next year, and FGD projects are one such set of projects. There's one other very specific project which also will be done. Finally, the other segment which continues to remain is like this bio-CNG space, where we have done these 14 plants, but doing that has been technically challenging, not just for us, for the entire industry. But this space I'm still hopeful for, because it makes a lot of sense for the country to grow this space. Done well, bio-CNG should be India's next ethanol sector.
Okay, and where do you see any specific pockets now that are showing great green shoot for growth, maybe for Thermax, maybe for industry?
So one we already talked about, this new group of industries, data centers, electronic manufacturing, semiconductors, solar cells, all of these are suddenly creating a big book of business, which is newer for Thermax and newer for the space at large. That is one. Two, overall, clean water and the water space is very interesting. Third, I would say international. Yeah, international, Thermax has been investing in growing our presence globally. That is now starting to show up. From India, exporting out to the world, I think you will see Thermax becoming a lot more of an exporter than we were
So from
previously.
that 14%, where is it going to go in terms of export then?
At least double that would be the expectation.
By when?
By, look, over the next 3 years even.
Wow,
so we would like to do that.
Ashish, we were talking about exports. We ended at exports growing, but where will it grow? Which countries? Where are we seeing the development now?
Right now, the geographies that are growing the fastest for Thermax is the Middle East, Sub-Saharan Africa, Southeast Asia, US, which was surprisingly, you would think would be an area where, especially with some of what is happening geopolitically, would be slow. In the last few months, after some period of slowdown, has picked up substantially, driven by some of these newer segments like data centers that we were speaking about.
Okay, all right. That's an interesting conversation, and we can catch the entire thing a little later during the day, and of course, go to our YouTube page to watch that. So that's Thermax Management. 9-10 calls, Mitesh.